Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Tai Chi web show. I am Dane Dormio. I am here with my good buddy, the martial philosopher, Andrew Brown. And we are joined by a special and unique guest tonight, my brother in breathing, Stephen Whitney.
I love it.
Stephen Whitney, Soma Breathwork Master Instructor, and we're talking about the breath today. Breath is a huge thing in Qigong. There's lots we could go into around that, but what Stephen does specifically is breath work that helps people heal and open to their full potential. So, Stephen, thank you for being here. And I'd like to start by hearing about your origin story and how you came to this and what your personal inspiration was for doing this work.
Awesome. Dane, thank you so much for the intro. Really, really appreciate it, man. And yeah, it's been a wild journey. So I had a corporate job as a building engineer in Denver, Colorado for 6 years. And I built a successful business. And so I was making over 6 figures. I had a big, huge truck, penthouse apartment. And I also had a heavy drinking problem and did drugs every weekend. And so I weighed about 60 pounds more than I do now. And it was very unhealthy. So after my mother passed away from her diabetes, I started to kind of question the mind and the body and different ways and forms of healing and how to access and alter your physiology without being so dependent on pharmaceutical drugs and the Western medicine doctrine kind of system. And it wasn't a year after my mom died that my fiance had a heart attack. And so I'm like, at this point, I'm a raging alcoholic at this point, basically. And this scare with my fiance was one of the biggest scares of my life. And so we decided to sell everything and move across the world. And so we moved to a small island on the south eastern peninsula of Thailand. And it's here that I started my journey, training in yoga, meditation, nutrition, detox. And what I came to find out later, after years of training, what is now my favorite and what I believe to be one of the core foundations to all spiritual and physical, mental, and emotional practices is your breath. So that's kind of how I got started on this. So fast forward 3 years later, I'm actually back on the island right now, but I lived here for 2 years and went through my own deep state of depression. When I got to the island, I became very depressed and borderline suicidal. And it was actually yoga, meditation, none of it was working. I mean, it was working because they're all beautiful and powerful modalities, but it was the breath, returning home to my breathing. And that really shifted my life around. So it was funny. I actually got worse when I moved and quit my corporate job. That's when the depression really sunk in and I had lost my identity and things got pretty hairy after that. But I got through all of it and, fast forward 2 years later and here I am.
Yeah, could you actually show us a little bit of the scenery there where you are?
Oh yeah. So just
gorgeous.
hanging out in the jungle.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. Very blessed.
That's a powerful story and really inspiring. I hope to anyone who's struggling with things like substance abuse issues or being stuck in a dead end job or just going through life challenges that you can't control, but figuring out how to heal and integrate and expand from those. And I love that you mentioned the meditation and the movement are important and they're part of it. And the breath was the most powerful, transformative and healing element of it. And because we normally focus on internal martial arts, Qigong, Tai Chi, and specifically mind-body practices that integrate body, breath, and mind together. And I mean, of course, they're inseparable. They always all three go together. But the power of the breath the breath is particularly significant because the breath is the bridge between body and mind. And the breath is extremely powerful for physical healing, for emotional healing, for it's seen as the gateway to spirituality in many ways, in many traditions. And in Qigong, there's an interesting linguistic connection. Qigong is energy work. Qi is energy. It also means air. And it's not so different from the Latin root inspiration is spirit, inspire, all coming from the same root.
Breathe. Yeah.
Breath, air. So, we love the breath. We talk about the breath a lot on this show, and I feel like it's, you can't say enough good things about the breath, about its healing potential, about actually not taking it for granted as something that just happens. It's there, but treating it as a skill, as an area for growth and exploration. So, one thing that I want to ask about in particular, and then I know Andrew's got some cool questions for you, but I want to ask about, because breath work, if you don't know about it now, but a lot of people are finding out about it and getting into it. And there's some forms of breath work that are becoming really popular. I know Andrew and I are both big Wim Hof fans, and I'm also a huge fan of Stan Grof and holotropic breath work used for exploring alternate states of consciousness and healing, emotional healing work. And so I'd like to know about what is specifically, what is Soma Breathwork, and what's unique about it?
Oh, great question. So I've seen and tried and dabbled in a lot of different breathwork modalities. And there's a bit of a stigma or a misconception when it comes to breathwork. And as much as I hate to say it, I just spent a year back in America, and this is the consensus that I kind of gained and built, is that people think breathwork is about sitting in ceremony and having these big trauma releases and reaching these ecstatic states. And I'd be a liar to say that that's not 100% true. Yes, that is a division within it. Yeah, absolutely. But there's also the realization that your breath influences all the functions in your body. So if you want to align all the functions, create a symphony inside of yourself, then your breath is going to be the key to do it. Otherwise, you're like a high school garage band playing, it just sounds horrible.
Yeah.
And that's connected to your thoughts, to your feelings, to your emotions, and your emotional state is how you perceive the world around you. And so that's the beautiful thing about Soma, is that, yes, we do sit in 1 hour ceremonies and we do reach ecstatic states, and just people are expanding and connecting. But on the other hand, in Soma, we train students the science of breathing, what it does to your physiology, your biochemistry, your neurology, what it's doing to your endocrine system, your hormones, your transmitters, how you're able to access, and a perfect example, by controlling your breath, you can raise CO2 levels in your bloodstream. Higher CO2 levels will induce the release of serotonin, which is like your happy chemical. And this is going to be your waking cycles and your focus. So it's really amazing how using the breath can actually optimize your physical, mental, emotional health. But it's really what I have found to be the ultimate biohacking tool. And in Soma, we teach the science of breath so that you know how to tune the breath to affect different parts of your mind and your body. And you can actually induce or control. And I'm not a big fan of the word control. You can kind of induce the action and reaction that's happening inside of your mind and body just by using your breath. So that's kind of the really cool thing. And the big differentiator that I see is that from other breathwork modalities is they're actually doing it for the reaction from the students. And what I have really found to be the most beneficial in Soma is that you're really embodying what breath is doing and what you're capable of doing when you align the breath. And this is one of the most powerful empowerment tools that I have found and I've seen other people embrace. So it's really cool. So that's kind of Soma is really To me, it's the science of breath. It's the science of your physiology. So.
All right. That's great. No, I love that. And I wanted to ask real quick, since Soma is about improving all the systems and building it into harmony, what kind of breathing patterns is very common in, that you've seen around the world that is kind of keeping us out of that harmony? Like the 2-second inhale, 2-second exhale, I've heard it's kind of like a fight or flight. You're always in like almost right on the cusp of fight or flight.
Yeah, this 2 in and 2 out, it's got benefits for sure, but it has to do with what type of situation you're in. If you need a burst of energy, if you need to release a natural shot of adrenaline, then there's a breathing rhythm for that. But the things that are going to get you out of harmony is erratic or shallow breathing. The slower you breathe,
upper chest,
the most important. No. So the upper chest is going to hold more sympathetic nervous receptors. If you're breathing into your chest, you're going to start to induce and activate your sympathetic nervous system almost immediately. So the shallow breathing, or if maybe that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, shallow breathing.
Yeah, into the chest. And this is the thing, when you get scared, what happens? You take a, and then you clench all your muscles, or you, it's the same thing. This erratic breathing is going to send these erratic signals. So your heart will become erratic because every time you breathe in, you induce a heartbeat, and your heartbeat goes up every time you breathe in, heartbeat goes down every time you breathe out. So if you're shallow breathing or over breathing or erratic breathing, then your heart rhythms are becoming erratic. And there are a lot of studies now that are showing that the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain does to the heart. So our breath influences our heart influences our brain. And those are the signals that are being sent, erratic, incoherent signals to the brain. And those have been shown to lead to anger, frustration, doubt, fear, worry, sadness. And coherent rhythms and EM waves, electromagnetic waves that are being sent from the heart to the brain, are going to be followed by like joy, peace, excitement, love. And so that's the reason that by breathing in a rhythm and slowing down the rate of your breath are incredibly important. Thank you, my love.
All right. So before we go too far, I wanted to ask, what kind of breathing rhythm would you recommend to everybody at all times? Just to maintain your awareness, maintain your space, you're paying attention to everything, and you're also focused. Just your general, like 4-second in, 4-second out. Would that be what we're thinking about, or?
It's actually exactly what it is. And you want to do it around 4 to 5 seconds in and out. This is actually, if you guys, anyone that's watching this, check out the Heart Math Institute and just type in Heart Math Institute, heart coherence. And it is so phenomenal what you will find when it comes to like cognitive function, your brain activity, your focus, your clarity, how your body becomes aligned, harmonic, and optimized just by breathing, slowing down your rate of breath. So it's not like, it's this 4-4. And the important thing is it's smooth on the inhale, smooth on the exhale. There's no pause or break between the inhale and exhale. If you do, then there's
no pause.
There's a rhythm. It's a circuit. Look at it. Look at your breath as like an electrical circuit. If there's a break in the circuit, then there is no charge. So to have a fully activated charge, you need a connected circuit. Otherwise, it's just electric. And so when we breathe in a consistent rhythm and connect the inhales to the exhales, now what you're doing is you're really tapping into the heart rate variability and your heart rhythms. And this is very, very important because again, each time you breathe in, heart rate goes up. Each time you breathe out, heart rate goes down. Same thing with your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So each time you breathe in, sympathetic. Each time you breathe out, a little bit of parasympathetic. So by breathing in a consistent, connected 4-4 breathing rhythm, you are going to create what this Heart Math Institute has done all these studies on, which is heart coherence. And this is the optimization of all of the functions in your body, of the balance of your hormones, the balance of your emotions, your blood circulation is all working, is like just a beautiful, beautiful symphony. That's one of the best ways to breathe right there.
All right, good.
Oh,
Glad to hear
and make sure, and in through the nose, in through the nose. This is the other thing.
Keep
If you
the
actually,
tongue at the top of the mouth.
yeah. And it's really cool because if you actually look at, if you remove Western and go back more into the Eastern, and the ancient yogis, they would monitor, they were like scientists in their realms, and without any science or technology, they were complete scientists. And what they did is they observed animals, and they noticed that animals like rodents would have a very fast breathing rhythm, like a rat or a rodent, but their lifespan was so short, so short. And then they monitored elephants, buffalo, these big ones that would breathe they'd breathe like 1 or 2 breaths a minute. And their lifespan, or turtles is another one, is so long. So they were able to gather the understanding and knowledge, wisdom, that by slowing down your breath, you actually can extend your life. That's the secret tool to longevity and the core foundation of a lot of pranayama, teachings.
All right.
Yeah, so this links with longevity, stress reduction. I love that you mentioned the picture of kind of the breath as a conductor of the symphony, which is a huge thing in Tai Chi practice, of course, for those who practice Tai Chi is the way I put it is the breath leads. The breath is leading the movement. Every movement of the body originates with the breath, and kind of follows along with. So when you're doing Tai Chi really well, you're actually literally leading the body with the breath like that. And I also love that you describe the work that you do as it's not a specific. Sounds like it's not a specific breathing technique, but it's kind of a set of principles that one can apply to adopt the appropriate breathing for the appropriate situation and desired effect. And what I'm curious about in particular is from the perspective of somebody who's just getting into this sort of thing, you're looking to get into this sort of thing. Is breath work, so like if somebody heard that breath work is great and they want to try it out, is it the sort of thing you have to go to a workshop or seminar or like a retreat kind of experience in order to get it, or is it best, is it done with a one-on-one facilitator like a lot of types of breathwork are, or is it the sort of thing that you can do you can do it yourself as part of a personal daily practice? Where does where does all that fit in?
Strong question, Dane. Strong question.
Yeah.
That's a big umbrella. Hold on a second. Let me embrace this. Actually, all of the above. All of the above. And the cool thing about Soma is that we actually have a preferred modality. And so like there is one combination of pranayams that we use for most sessions. The cool thing about Soma is a global teacher training platform, which is really what they are. They are like the most amazing facilitator training platform that I have found. And that's where they really go into the science. But a Soma breathwork session is generally about 1 hour. And it's a series of 2-4, 4-4, and even 2-2 breathing rhythms with breath retentions. And so there are a lot of, that's our most popular, most preferred session. People go absolutely nuts over that type of experience. And that thing can be done in the comfort of your own home. 100%. That can be part of your daily practice. Now, if you're going to try and do 1 hour sessions every single day, that might be pretty intense. You will expand a very strong field, and that's something that you really need to work your way into. But there's a lot of access out there right now for people to start. So there's, I just launched a free 5-day course that's structured on stress. And I've taken kind of an interesting approach to a very entry level way to get into breathwork. And it's a 30-minute meditation. And the first 10 minutes is like a Dharma talk. And I'm talking to you about trust, what trust is, and conflicts and resistance that can come from a lack of trust. And then after that 10 minutes is your own 10 minutes listening to music, and you're reflecting, looking at what more trust would look like in your life. So there's a 10-minute of like a self-reflection moment. And then it's 10 minutes of a breathing rhythm that is really driven to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and build up a resilience to stress. And that's it. So it's not like this 1 hour big breath work session, but this is a way to start to train and introduce your body into the subtle changes and adjustments that need to be made before you start going into really deep sessions. But we've also got like online programs where it's 21 days or even 30 days where you go and start with a very short breathwork practice that may be 15 minutes, and you work all the way up to doing a daily routine of 1 hour. And so there's a lot that we provide with, going to an in-live person session is phenomenal. Retreats, life-changing. But this is something, if you learn the modality properly, which we have a lot of ways and, paths for people to do that. I 100% think that this is something that people can do on their own. I do it by myself on the beach or in my bedroom or on the patio almost every single morning. So it's my daily routine, and I highly suggest other people embody it as theirs as well.
All right. No, great recommendation. So I wanted to ask about some breathing techniques that we can share with the viewers. One of them I was interested in is putting yourself to sleep. Is there a breathing pattern that you really ascribe to that, like, it just knocks me out in 1 to 2 minutes?
Yeah, man. If you just stop breathing completely, you'll be out. And, I mean, I'm not sure.
It's very effective.
All right, let's cut out the middle, man. Let's go straight to what's really gonna work. Just stop breathing.
Yeah.
No, there actually really is, and this has actually been
the increase in serotonin previously, right?
Mm-hmm.
As one of the effects.
Yeah. So this. Yeah, absolutely. And this is exactly what it's going to do. You're going to really increase CO2 levels. So CO2 is going to dilate your blood vessels, open up your artery ways. You're going to start to absolutely relax. Parasympathetic nervous system's getting activated. Your heart rate's going down. Blood pressure is going down. And then this is a 4-8 breathing rhythm.
Yep.
And so the thing is that your body works off of rhythms. You have your circadian rhythms, your circadian rhythms. Everything works off of rhythms. And our bodies are just designed and structured that way. So if we're not breathing in a rhythm, then we're actually not honoring the natural design of our human physiology and biochemistry. And this is really cool. So the thing is that it doesn't always have to be the same in as it is out. A rhythm can be like a 1-to-5 ratio. So breathing in for 2 and out for 4, in for 4, out for 8. You're still keeping a ratioed rhythm. But what happens is when you extend your exhale, this is something that everyone should know and that no one is ever taught. If you extend your exhale, your heart rate, blood pressure, and parasympathetic nervous system are all going to get activated. So your heart rate will go down. I have a video. If you guys go to my YouTube channel, Breathe with Steve, I have a video that shows that I can take my heart rate from 70 beats a minute to 105 in about 15 seconds, just sitting by using an energy lock. And then I can drop that heart rate from 107 to 58 in like 20 seconds, just sitting, just by using my breath. And I drop my heart rate so dramatically by extending my exhale. It's like you're breathing out through a straw almost. So this 4-8 breathing rhythm is allowing you to start to calm everything down, to slow the rate of everything down and build up CO2 levels. And CO2, I have found, is like this magical molecule that is so overlooked and underappreciated. This is like one of the key components to like a healthy and happy life. So 4-8 breathing rhythm, in my opinion, is the strongest. And for all of my clients, they say that they literally can't even get like past like a few minutes and they're out. So I used it last night. I use it almost every single night. Puts me out.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. Okay. And then there was one more that you just mentioned about bringing your heart rate up. Could you tell us what kind of breathing techniques will get your body kind of excited, maybe sweating a little bit, burning some calories just by breathing?
Yeah. And before I say anything, I just want everyone to know that like your breath is the same of like any other substance in your life. Everything is good in moderation. So if you learn how to slow your heart rate down, how to become mega relaxed and parasympathetic, then you can actually go too deep into that and become apathetic, where you're lazy. You don't have any drive, no motivation. The same thing goes for raising the heart rate. If you're constantly raising your heart rate, activating and releasing natural shots of adrenaline and different hormones and chemicals in the body that are raising this field, you can take this too far and it can have damaging effects. Okay. Great. So it's the same thing applies if you're going to try and drink 10 cups of coffee a day. You're going to eventually have negative effects. So I just want to keep that in mind, to keep these things in moderation. So one really cool way to do it is, but there's two. And it's the pelvic floor muscle, actually. So your pelvic floor muscle it's hard to explain. Actually really difficult to explain sometimes. But for men, it's in between the anus and the...
It's what you squeeze when you want to hold your pee.
You nailed it. That is the best way to put it. If you have to use your really bad and you have to pee, yep. It just gets really fine-tuned because there's actually 4 energy locks in our pelvic region, with the urinary one, the anal, the pelvic floor. Anyway, we don't need to go into those, but you nailed it, Dane. So if you lock your pelvic floor muscle, the muscle you would use to hold in your urine, what's going to happen is you're actually going to start to raise your heart rate, increase your body temperature, and give yourself a natural shot of adrenaline. And this is really, really cool. This is a great way to give yourself a boost of energy. Well, if you want to enhance this slightly, what you do is you take a deep breath in and hold. So hold, pull up on the mula bandha, lock it, or the pelvic floor, and you'll just rise up this energy. Try not to contract all the muscles in your body when you're doing this. You'll feel a little bit of contraction in your lower abdomen. But what will happen is you'll create an increase in pressure, upward pressure. And this is going to raise body temperature, blood pressure, heart rate. It's going to release this natural shot of adrenaline. And it's also going to release like dopamine and this feel-good hormone and possibly even oxytocin. So this rush of energy is a great way to like basically replace your like cup of coffee. And another way too is to just speed up your rhythm of breathing, but being conscious about it. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So let's say you're feeling really sluggish at work. You're just like, oh, what I recommend is you take 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. And just maybe 30 seconds to a minute of that. And then when you're finished, take a deep breath in. Hold, lock the pelvic floor muscle. Hold this for about 30 seconds to a minute. You'll feel this rush of energy, and this is going to increase blood flow to your brain as well. So when you're contracted or stressed out, all of your muscles are contracted, and you're cutting off blood flow and supply to organs in your body because it's do or die, fight or flight. All the blood flow is going to our extremities to run away or to hide or fight. And so what happens, we actually drain blood flow and oxygen, nutrients from the brain because we're directing. This is just how the body is designed. And so when you use this method, you're actually flooding your brain with additional blood flow, oxygen, nutrients, and this can really expand your amount of imagination, creativity, focus, clarity. It's a really good way. Yep.
All right. Great tips today. Jeez. All right. Dane, why don't
wanna-
you ask two questions?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask a question on behalf of a new friend that I recently met who is severely overweight, and he's wanting uh, to take steps to turn that situation around, including physical movement and activity and mind-body practices and this sort of thing. Um, and and he has the challenge that being in the physical shape that he is, movement is very difficult. He gets out of breath easily, and so I was just curious for somebody who's coming from that situation, even if it's not that extreme, but somebody who's, for whatever reason they have a hard time exercising, but they want to lose weight, or they want to enhance their weight loss efforts with whatever else they're doing. Is there a connection between breath work and weight loss and or physical fitness? How does that tie in?
Oh my goodness, this is such an amazing question. This is actually huge. And I have a lot of people that look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them this. But if you're not aligning all the functions in your body will not be receptive to the changes that you're introducing to it. So people are like, why is my diet not working? Why is this not working? Why is my fitness program not working? It's because you haven't aligned and created a harmonic environment inside of your body to be conducive to receive those changes. And so weight gain is a very, very common one, especially in regards to stress. Your cortisol levels have been constantly being released because of all the adrenaline. And over time, this will, your receptors won't be as receptive to the cortisol levels. And this is where you can start having rapid weight gain. So the thing is that if our bloodstream becomes too acidic, too alkaline, okay, which means we're breathing in too much oxygen. That's like shallow breathing, okay? If we're shallow breathing, we're breathing in too much oxygen, okay? Oxygen can be very damaging to the mind and the body. But if we're breathing in too much oxygen, we become too alkaline. What happens is our bloodstream and our body is so smart that our body will start to steal acid to put into the bloodstream to make the pH of our bloodstream balanced. So if it becomes too alkaline, it's going to put more acidic or more acid in there to balance out the pH. Well, gentlemen, where do we produce the most acid in our body?
Gut.
Boom. Nailed it. So if you are breathing in too much oxygen and your bloodstream is too alkaline, then you're robbing acid from your digestive system. You're not going to break down food as properly. This can lead to leaky gut. This can lead to digestive issues. And it really comes down to people being overly sympathetic, fight or flight. And that's the thing, is emotions. And people that are in a heavier weight demographic, they're dealing with the consciousness of, I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful. I'm overweight. I can't do this. This signal that's being sent from the mind to the body is just as powerful as a bear coming up on you and wanting to attack you. Your sympathetic nervous system is going to get activated on either side of the spectrum. That's why the mind and the body are connected. Dane, I love that you talk about that. They fully are. And so, but this is a very, very powerful thing. So one thing is that he needs to slow down his rate of breathing. He needs to make sure that he's breathing in through the nose. Another thing, people that have gained weight in their lives, if you watch their breathing patterns, it's generally open mouth, shallow breathing. So you need to slow down the rate, become synchronized, connecting the inhale to the exhale. And the other thing is to train in kumbhaka. Kumbhaka is a breath retention. Okay. Nishisha Rashaka Kumbhaka is holding your breath past the comfort zone, and the body will begin to adapt. So if you can train him to hold his breath out, and there's a series of breathing rhythms that you do to help induce this ability to hold your breath out, which we do in our Soma breath ceremonies and sessions. But this is going to allow him to start to train in having less oxygen. So now his pH of his bloodstream is going to become incredibly balanced. Not only that, but now he's going to start to produce energy more efficiently. His mitochondria is going to become more efficient. And now he's aligning the functions and building up an ability for his body, his immune system, to work more properly. And this is just really important. So less oxygen and training in kumbhaka, which actually trains your body to have less oxygen. So people always think we need more oxygen. But if that were the case, doctors would be running around with oxygen tanks and masks, healing everybody. And so it's not true. This story that we need more, breathe deeper, breathe more. It's not true. It's really not. It's actually about controlling your breath, training yourself to use less oxygen. The more you train in lower oxygen states like intermittent hypoxia, which is holding your breath out, the more that your body adapts to having less oxygen, it then trains itself, adapts to that less oxygen, and now it needs less oxygen to thrive and survive. So now you've just become more efficient on a cellular level.
Wow. That's cool.
And again, helping out with digestion, helping out with his immune system and his ability to break down foods.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just kind of went on a little tangent there, but this is a really, really powerful topic because that's the thing. I started with yoga and meditation and all these other things, and I was not able to really see the powerful effects that were happening. And it's because I didn't align the functions of my physiology first. And anybody that I try and talk to or help them, I say, start with your breath, then move into the body and to the other forms. And then your body will be ready and receptive to receive the changes that you're introducing to it. And so that's be a really powerful way for him to start losing weight and become more energized so that he can keep burning off that weight.
All right. Yeah, I totally agree. The first thing we teach pretty much in any class to a beginner is how do you breathe? Because most people, they've just been riding on this whole like, oh, I breathe every day. What do I need to practice this for?
So true.
So I wanted to ask, since you've been studying this for a long time, I wanted to ask about some more advanced techniques, maybe like pore breathing or bone breathing. Have you had a chance to study these kind of things yet?
Bone breathing.
Yes, pore breathing first. So breathing through your skin, and then if you know anything about bone breathing, love to hear it.
I don't. I have not heard of bone breathing before.
All right, well, you can look it up on YouTube.
Andrew's referring to some esoteric Taoist traditions. Yeah. Which is where those concepts come from. So there may or may not be an analogous concept to that in the in the lineages that you studied.
I just figured the Indians probably figured it out before the Chinese did, based on the history.
My guess would be there's like something very similar or analogous to it, but it has a different name. So
yeah.
No, but I do have something interesting that I could share with you guys.
Okay.
Excuse me. Oh, that mint tea just hit the spot. So you guys train and teach in Qigong, Tai Chi, and which I really, really appreciate. But one thing that I have found to be quite miraculous and something that I don't hear really anyone talk about is, have you guys ever really trained in like isometric training? Like functional isometric training, where you're isolating a muscle and holding it to the point of exhaustion, right?
Yeah. I mean, holding a weight and doing bicep curls and just letting it go until you're like, oh God.
Well, I mean,
and you do
static. Static. I mean, one term for that would be static contraction, or like there's holding static postures with tension, basically.
Kind of like yoga. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or
And
yoga, for example, right?
Well, actually, no. In Western yoga, it's a series of postures. You're in a flow, like a vinyasa flow. I'm a certified vinyasa flow teacher, but I learned that before I learned breath work. But that's the thing, that's aerobic. Aerobic. the body adapts to aerobic exercise so quick, and then that's maxed out. Yeah, you might have a big muscle, but your strength and the nutrients that you're actually creating, or the functionality within your muscle and your body, is very, very weak. So you may have a big muscle, but the strength is very weak. And so this is the really cool thing, especially with breath work, is when you create a static contraction, that's anaerobic. You're not moving. So it's not like doing a bicep. It's like holding the bicep right here and not moving. So what happens is you isolate muscles. Those muscles use oxygen and blood flow as their nutrients. That's what keeps it alive. Okay. So, but when you are contracting that muscle for a period of time, generally to the point of exhaustion, because that's where you're going to have the biggest effects, then what happens is you are depriving that muscle, because it's staying contracted, of oxygen and proper blood flow, because no blood flow can come in. So what happens, that muscle panics. It says, holy shit, I lost all of my supplies, my nutrients, my oxygen to keep and thrive this muscle. So what it does is it's smart. So what happens is when you let go, it will then store more red blood cells. It will actually increase and store more oxygen and be ready for that time to happen again. And so now what you're doing is you're optimizing your physical strength, endurance. But here's the other thing, is if you use breath retentions while doing static contractions, carbon dioxide, CO2, is the activant that gets oxygen off of the hemoglobin on your red blood cell and allows it to go in other muscles and tissues, cells in your body. So this is an interesting thing. If we're over breathing too much oxygen and we don't have carbon dioxide, then the oxygen is staying bound to the red blood cell. It never gets released. So we're basically drowning in oxygen, but we're not giving it to our muscles, our tissues, our joints, our organs, and we're being deprived. And when you hold your breath out, so now you've created this static contraction, the muscle is remembering what is happening. So it's preparing, it's going to build up more reserves for next time, which more nutrients, blood flow, and oxygen is going to make your muscle stronger and have more stamina, because it's got more reserves. It's built up more storage for these types of situations. That's what strength really is. But the thing is, when you hold your breath out and you rise CO2 levels in your bloodstream, now you're removing the oxygen off of the red blood cell, and now you're flooding your muscles with oxygen rather than depriving them of it. So this is how you're going to recover like mega fast, how you're going to become incredibly strong, and endurance, like your stamina will go through the roof. So this is basically simulating high altitude training. So athletes, ancient yogis, they go to top of the Himalayas or high altitudes to train. It's because they become so efficient. So this is something that you guys could even bring, or if anyone wants to take their fitness practice to the next level, try holding a yoga posture or holding a plank or a push-up pose to the point of exhaustion, but hold your breath out for as long as you can.
Yeah, those are definitely difficult. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Good point.
This is some great insights for incorporating breath work in along with physical fitness. And calisthenics training. There's lots of potential there to explore that, which we highly encourage. Before we wrap up, I want to I want to make sure people know how to get in touch with you or learn from you or connect with you. So definitely put your links in the comments for this video, but also could you tell us what's the best way for people to connect with you or learn more about what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm a Soma Breath Master Instructor. So I teach a lot of their online programs. I help train students through the teacher training program. I do retreats, all these things. So if you go to somabreath.com, you can check out their, and actually I tell you what, I'll throw a special link with a discount for their online programs and their training course in the comments when we finish this. And that way you guys will have access to that. And that'll be really good. Awakening programs, which are 21 days long. You have the instructor training, and we have a lot of different other cool programs that you can go through to really get up to date on the science, to really feel and experience it yourself. And one thing that I've been doing recently is really focusing on stress. And so I have now launched a platform that's called Breathe with Steve. And the website is www.breathewithsteve.com. Super easy. And it's here that I'm teaching people how to biohack their nervous system and release different chemicals and hormones in their body to shift their perspective and mindset so that they're not creating a stress response inside of their body. And I just launched a month or so ago a 30-day online program that's going to take you through Soma breathing, other meditation practices, mental practices, physical practices. There's a section which is HIIT, high interval training, that I teach you in there as well. And it's just an amazing 30-day program that really teaches you how to use your breath to not only relieve stress, maintain stress, maintain less stress, and build up a resilience to stressful situations. So you actually I'm going to teach you how to take your nervous system to the gym. And this has been my main focus of where I'm directing my learnings from Soma Breath. I'm really applying them to mental wellness, mental health, and stress, because it's one of the leading epidemics in the world right now. Everyone is stressed, but nobody knows how to deal with the stress response. And because I come from a corporate background, I decided, it's funny, I always find my life going full circle. And right now is a time, or the last 6 months that I've been designing all this, has been a time that I want to go and face the demons that made me sick. Those are the people that drove me into drinking and drugs. And it's time for me to make a stand. I'm ready to go face those people after years of training in this. So it's kind of like going to fight the big dragon. And I realize that everyone else is living lives that are not fully abundant and happy and joyful. And they deserve to feel that way, to live that life. And if I can do it, trust me, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I never knew about this stuff. And I just set out on a journey. And it's my soul's purpose to help support people in their journey of really just finding a happy, successful life, and just really enjoying each moment and each day and feeling inspired when you wake up in the morning.
So literally, when you take a breath in.
I love it.
Oh, and that's another thing too, actually. Oh my goodness, almost forgot about this. I just put together a free 5-day program.
Yes.
That introduces you into stress. I will share that in the link as well. And that way, any of the viewers, you guys have a free 5-day program. It comes with a breathwork meditation. There's 7 videos of me talking about what stress is, how it happens, how it reacts to the body, and how you can overcome it. And it's a really good entryway into knowledge, experience, and awareness. So I'll make sure I share that in the comments as well. That'll be my gift to you guys.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks a bunch for the generosity of spirit and for bringing things so beautifully full circle. I highly suggest and recommend and encourage, if you are somebody who has a qigong or a tai chi or even a martial arts practice already, martial arts or physical fitness or anything already, definitely explore breathwork as a supplement to that, because it can only make whatever else you're doing that much better.
It only augments your abilities.
Yeah, and whatever it is, or if you have if you have a meditation practice, a qigong practice, a fitness practice, whatever it is, definitely explore breathwork as another path up the mountain, and integrate this knowledge into what you're already doing. So, thanks a bunch for being here, Stephen, and thanks for sharing all your gifts, and we'll look forward to being in touch and continuing the conversation.
Sounds amazing. Guys, thank you so much for inviting me out here. I really, really appreciate it. For anyone that's watching, guys, you are amazing. Your capabilities are just limitless, and just keep striving and thriving. So guys, you're amazing. Keep teaching and doing the amazing things that you're doing for the community, and together we will rise, and together we can make a change. So from my heart to yours.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's great chatting with you today.
Aho,
Right on, brother.
namaste.
Right on.
Yeah, namaste.
Wonderful. Awesome.